What is up, everybody, and welcome back. Okay, let me ask you a question. Have you ever gotten to the end of a long, frantic, exhausting day at work, looked back, and realized you didn't accomplish a single important thing? That feeling? That's what we're tackling today.
If that sounds painfully familiar, trust me, you are so not alone. According to author Cal Newport, we're in the middle of a massive, silent productivity crisis. And get this, he says it's not even our fault. So let's dive in and figure out what on earth is going on. And hey, real quick, if you want to get a handle on the big ideas that can totally reshape your work and your life, do yourself a huge favor and smash that like and subscribe button right now. You are not going to want to miss what we're breaking down here. All right, so how do we get trapped in this endless cycle of feeling busy but never actually productive? Well, the answer, believe it or not, goes back to a giant historical mistake about what work even is. For pretty much all of human history, productivity was, well, it was obvious. A farmer had a field of crops. A factory worker made a certain number of widgets per hour. You could see the work. You could count the results. Simple, right? But then this management guru, Peter Drucker, he pointed out this new kind of worker was taking over, the knowledge worker. And the output of a knowledge worker, an idea, a strategy, a piece of code, is completely invisible. And that one simple fact, well, it broke everything. I mean, think about it. Without a physical, tangible, thinking assembly line, we all kind of started to panic. How do you prove you're being productive if nobody can see the work you're doing? This panic, this uncertainty, it led us to grab onto a really, really dangerous substitute for measuring what actually matters. And this dangerous substitute, it has a name. Newport calls it the villain at the heart of our modern burnout epidemic, and it's been silently sabotaging our best efforts for decades. Welcome, my friends, to the age of pseudo-productivity. This right here is the absolute core of the problem. Because we can't see thinking happen, we started to measure the next best thing, visible activity. We started confusing the performance of being busy with the actual production of valuable work. So what does this actually look like day to day? Well, it's celebrating inbox zero like you just won a championship. It's having a calendar so jam-packed with back-to-back meetings that you have zero time to do the stuff you talked about in the meetings. And oh yeah, it's taking pride in how fast you can reply to a Slack message, making sure that little green dot next to your name is always lit up, proving to everyone that you're there, you're on, you're working. And all of these visible actions, they very quickly became a trap. Especially those super fast replies. They became a kind of social signal, a way for us to prove to our bosses and colleagues that we're working hard. We got stuck in this devastating loop of performing productivity instead of actually being productive. Now, this whole system of fake busyness isn't just inefficient, it's actively hostile to the way our brains are actually wired. This is a massive biological mismatch, and it is literally breaking our ability to think clearly. Okay, so every single time you jump from a deep, focused task, like, say, writing an important report, to answer a quick email or a Slack ping, you are forcing your brain to do something called a context switch. And here's the thing, our brains are terrible at this. They can't just pivot on a dime like a computer can. See, when you switch tasks, a piece of your attention actually gets left behind, stuck on the thing you just stopped doing. Researchers have a great name for this, attention residue. It's like a mental fog, a bit of leftover gunk that clouds your thinking and seriously degrades your performance on whatever new thing you've just switched to. Now, this world of pseudo-productivity, it demands constant context switching. All day long. Every single email, every notification, it creates what's called an open loop in your brain that just eats up mental energy. When you're trying to juggle dozens of these loops at once, you hit a state of intense cognitive overload. It just shreds our ability to think deeply and solve tough problems. And then this thing came along. The smartphone put the entire distraction factory right into our pockets, 24/7. Suddenly, the pressure to be responsive, to be on, became constant. It's an endless tsunami of inputs that our poor human brains just did not evolve to handle. So, how do we escape this mess? Newport argues that we don't need another productivity app or some clever time management hack. No, we need a completely new philosophy of work, a full-blown revolution against the tyranny of busyness. He calls this philosophy slow productivity. And let's be super clear about something. Slow does not mean lazy. It means sustainable. It's about organizing our work, in a way that actually respects the realities of the human brain, so we can produce exceptional work over the long haul. It's all about the depth of your output, not the width of your activity. Okay, so this all sounds great in theory, but how do we actually do it? How do we put it into practice? Well, Newport's entire philosophy is built on three incredibly simple but incredibly powerful pillars that give us a clear path out of the chaos. Here they are, the three commandments for staying sane in a crazy world of work. Number 1, do fewer things. Number 2, work at a natural pace. And number 3, obsess over quality. Let's break down exactly what each of these really means. The first pillar is a direct attack on that cognitive overload we were just talking about. It means putting a hard, explicit limit on the number of projects you're working on at any given time. Our brains are not designed to juggle an endless to-do list. When we try, our attention just shatters into a million pieces and our actual output collapses. Second, we have to completely reject this old industrial age idea that we can operate like machines, with constant linear output from 9 to 5 every single day, forever. That's just not how humans work. This pillar is all about embracing the reality that our energy and creativity come in cycles. Like seasons. We have intense periods for hard work, and we have necessary periods for rest and recovery. Working at a natural pace just means honoring those natural rhythms. And finally, we have what might be the secret weapon of this whole system, obsessing over quality. Think about it. When you truly commit to making your work the best it can possibly be, it acts as a natural filter for everything else. You are forced to protect your time and your energy, which gives you the leverage and the excuse you need to say no to all those low-value distractions that fuel the pseudo-productivity fire. And when you put these three pillars together, they create this amazing self-reinforcing system. Doing fewer things at a natural pace gives you the space you need to obsess over quality. And obsessing over quality, in turn, forces you to do fewer things. It's a total shift in focus, away from hours logged and emails answered, and toward making real, tangible progress on the stuff that truly, actually matters. Don't go anywhere. The rest of these powerful insights are coming right up.
You ever have one of those days? You know the one. You're running around for 10 hours straight, your calendar is a mess of back-to-back meetings, but at the end of it all, you look at your to-do list and nothing that actually matters got done. You were busy for sure, but were you effective? We have been completely sold this lie that activity equals value, that a packed schedule means a productive life. Well, today, we are going to tear that idea apart. We're diving deep into Cal Newport's incredible counter-narrative that just flips that whole concept on its head. So let's get into it.
So let me just ask you this, straight up. Is being busy the same thing as being valuable? We're all programmed to think it is, right? You see someone juggling 10 different projects, their phone is buzzing off the hook, and you can't help but think, wow, that person must be incredibly important. But what if that's all just an illusion? What if all that frantic motion, all that busyness, is actually the very thing holding them back from doing their best work?
Because that is exactly Cal Newport's core argument. Busyness isn't just different from value. It's often the enemy of value. His whole idea of slow productivity, look, it's not about being lazy. Not at all. It's about being incredibly strategic. It's about finally understanding that to achieve more, you have to, paradoxically, do less. And that's not just some catchy phrase. It's a fundamental reinvention of how we even think about work.
So how in the world did we get stuck in this loop? This cycle of feeling constantly busy but never truly effective? Well, Newport calls the problem the busyness illusion. It's this idea that's everywhere, that just being active is a good substitute for actually being valuable. And it's such a dangerous trap because, it feels good in the moment. It feels like you're getting things done. He calls it pseudo-productivity, the feeling of being productive without actually producing anything of substance.
And a huge piece of this illusion is something called administrative overhead. Okay? Think of this like a hidden tax on every single thing you agree to do. Every new project isn't just the work itself, right? It's the mountain of coordination emails, the status update meetings, the follow-up calls, the constant task management. And this overhead, it doesn't just add up, it multiplies. It creates this tangled web of communication that can literally choke your ability to do the real work.
And that brings us to this absolutely staggering number, 100%. And now, this is not an exaggeration. This is the terrifying math behind what happens when you get overloaded. Newport crunched the numbers and found that if each project you take on has just a little bit of this overhead, by the time you hit 10 projects at once, you can literally spend your entire workday just talking about the work. That leaves zero time, absolutely zero, for doing the work. You are completely paralyzed by the sheer weight of your own commitments.
Okay, so how do we break free from this paralysis? Well, the solution starts with the very first principle of slow productivity. And it's simple, it's powerful, and honestly, for a lot of us, it's pretty terrifying. Do fewer things. Now, this isn't about ducking responsibility. It's the opposite. It's about taking radical responsibility for the quality of what you produce by snatching your focus back from all the trivial stuff.
This quote right here, it just nails the whole philosophy. The goal of your workday should never be to just pack your calendar from morning till night. No, the real goal is to create the space you need to operate at the absolute peak of your abilities. You see, filling your potential, that requires empty space on your calendar, not a full one. So how do we actually pull this off? Newport gives us two really brilliant, super practical tactics. First up, there's the one-in, one-out system. You decide on a hard limit for your big projects. Let's say it's 3. You absolutely cannot, under any circumstances, start a 4th project until one of those first 3 is 100% done and off your plate. This forces you to finish what you start. Then there's the active waiting list. This one's great. Instead of just a hard no, you offer a not now. You say something like, I would love to help with that, but I'm at full capacity right now. Let me add you to my waiting list, and you'll be the very first person I call when a spot opens up. It totally respects the request while fiercely guarding your focus.
And what this does is it builds a completely different mindset. You can see the shift right here. Over on the left, you've got hustle culture. It's driven by this fear of saying no, and value is all about how busy you look. This leads to what Newport calls talent dilution, where you're just kind of okay at a lot of things. But on the right, you have slow productivity. It embraces the power of saying not now. Here, value is measured by what you actually accomplish, which lets you concentrate all your talent to become truly exceptional at a few vital things. All right, so once you've cut down your obligations, the next step is to completely change how you work on them. And this brings us to principle number 2, work at a natural pace. We are human beings. We are biological creatures, not assembly line machines. This idea that we can just keep up a constant, high level of output 52 weeks a year, it's a destructive myth that was born on the factory floor, and it is absolutely burning us out.
And you know what? History totally backs this up. The greatest minds did not work like machines. Think about Jack London. He would write with this incredible, furious intensity for a stretch, and then he'd spend months on a ship, not writing a single word. Or Isaac Newton. His most world-changing discoveries came in these intense bursts when he was isolated during the plague, and they were followed by long, quiet periods of rest and letting ideas sink in. Great work is seasonal. It has an ebb and a flow.
The difference in how we approach time itself is just, it's night and day. Hustle culture, on the left, it runs on this fuel of artificial urgency. It demands constant low-grade output at this inhuman, machine-like pace. But slow productivity, over on the right, it champions strategic patience. It gets that our best work comes in these powerful bursts, which are then followed by necessary periods of recovery. It creates a rhythm that's sustainable and, deeply human.
So how do we actually do this? Well, first, start planning your year with seasonality in mind. Actually block out a few months as high-intensity sprint seasons, and then schedule other times as lower-intensity learning or maintenance seasons where you don't start any huge new projects. And then, on a daily level, you have to try the shutdown ritual. Pick a time every single day, review what you've done, make a solid plan for tomorrow, and then you declare the workday over. This mental closure is so important because it stops work from creeping into your personal time, and it lets your brain actually recover overnight.
And this brings us to the third and final principle, and this is the one that really ties it all together and makes the whole thing click. Obsess over quality. Now, this isn't just some vague goal to do good work. No. This is a strategic choice to make excellence the absolute non-negotiable filter for every single thing you do.
The really critical insight here is that obsessing over quality is what gives you the permission and the power to work slowly and do fewer things. Think about it. When you're known for producing truly exceptional results, people start to respect your process. Excellence becomes your shield. It gives you the professional clout to say, not now, and to work at a pace that's actually sustainable, because everyone knows that the final product is going to be worth the wait.
I mean, think about some of the greats and how they committed to this. The singer Jewel famously turned down huge early record deals because they would have compromised the quality of her music. Lin-Manuel Miranda spent 7 years obsessing over every single lyric of Hamilton, and look what happened. It became a global cultural touchstone. A really powerful tactic for any of us is what Newport calls the showcase project. It means you always have one thing you're working on that has no firm deadline.
If you're a coder, maybe it's a personal project. If you're in marketing, maybe it's a super in-depth analysis of your industry. The only goal is to make it the absolute best thing you are capable of producing. This is how you train your quality muscle.
Okay, so let's zoom all the way out, because this isn't just some personal productivity hack. Newport argues this is an essential revolution for how we work, especially now, as we're heading full steam into the age of AI. This is really about reclaiming the very definition of what makes us valuable as humans in our work.
I mean, what can algorithms and AI do better than any of us? They can maximize activity. They can churn out a massive volume of good enough stuff at a speed we can't even comprehend. We cannot compete on that field. We just can't. Our advantage, our entire future value, lies in all the things that machines can't do: depth, nuance, creativity, and the patient, slow pursuit of something truly extraordinary. Our job is to maximize impact, not activity.
And this is Newport's powerful, final call to action. The world, the economic machine, it wants you to be a fast, replaceable part. It wants to consume your time and your attention for its own goals. But by choosing to be slow, by choosing quality, by choosing depth, you make a shift. You stop being a component and you become a creator. You start building things that actually last.
And really, that's the heart of it all. Slow productivity isn't an excuse to slack off or work less. It's a strategic framework for working right, for doing your most important, most meaningful work in a way that you can actually sustain for a lifetime. Thank you so much for digging into this amazing philosophy with me today.
Now I have a question for you. Because this can't just be theory, it has to be about action. What is the one small, busy task? You know, that recurring meeting that could just be an email. That report that you're pretty sure nobody reads. That constant checking of a chat channel. What's the one thing you could eliminate just for this week to open up even 30 minutes for deeper, more focused work?
I seriously want to know. Drop what you're committing to in the comments below. Let's actually hold each other accountable and kickstart this slow revolution together, one useless task at a time. It might feel like a small step, but that is exactly how real change gets started.
Thanks again for joining this explainer. I will see you in the next one. And hey, remember, keep thinking slow.